You're on. Let's start. Okay. What's a couple seconds?
I don't want to break the law.
Oh, you don't want to break the law. Okay.
Clock's right.
All
That's
right.
assuming the clock is right. We have to have some consistency.
All right.
It's not.
All right, this is a selectmen's meeting for April 22nd. First order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First order of business is public input. I see some public.
Brief. Good morning.
Good morning.
Just a little administrative housekeeping. I'm coming here on behalf of the trustees of the trust funds. And we've gotten a couple of letters from you for requests for money.
Right.
But this has been in place for a while, so we're happy to take the letter. But if you could please just redo them, there's a voucher that is on our website. And you need to, because this is what we have to submit to the investment firm. So it's a payment voucher, and I just printed one up and did an example. So you can do the letter as well, that's perfectly fine, but this has been on our website, and it's not a new process, but I just wanted to kind of bring you guys up to speed if you weren't aware of it. And if you could just attach that with the request to the letter if you prefer, or you could just fill out the voucher instead, whichever works for you.
Great.
All right, so if you guys could resubmit those and put those in the box, we'll address them at our next meeting.
Perfect.
All righty. That's it.
That's it.
That was
All right.
it. It was just a little bit of administrative
Okay.
upkeeping. Awesome.
Any other public input?
I don't know if I'm public or not. Well, we have an issue with the wharf in Melton. That half the sheet of ice in Melton Bay came across. I think it was Tuesday, and cleaned up the ice pile and a couple pilings on the side of the wharf. So we have to get an expedited permit to fix it. You just can't go and stand everything back up and start driving again. So it
So
has to be
took pilings out?
The truck, there's two ice clusters in each corner. It took one of them right off, it was laying right in the bottom of the lake down, and pulled a couple other pilings out, and then along the dirt part of the wharf, knocked some pilings over, broke a cable, and knocked some boards out. So there was nothing you can do about it. It's the wind and the ice just moved. So we have to get a permit to fix it.
Okay, so can you put that permit together?
Who do you want to get to do it? The state, so the permit
Who do we generally have to do it?
depends.
And who did the 19-mile bay permit for our application?
White Mountain did that one. Shane Folsom did Mirror Lake boat ramp. We did the boat ramp in Melbourne. So there's a
Yeah. I mean, why don't we give Shane a call?
okay.
White Mountain if we have to, but
Yeah.
White Mountain.
Is that, does insurance pay for that? Is it?
I don't know. That's above me, but I would assume so. With a deductible. They might not. No, they might pay for the permit as well. The only thing, insurance companies usually don't pay to fix the cars. Well, they're not going to pay to get rid of the ice, but so they possibly could.
Right.
The permits might do it. Yeah.
What's the act of God?
I can ask Diane to look into that. So.
Okay.
But being an active, that they might not because of nature. So
Or they might say they'll pay part of the bill if we do the permits.
yeah. That's all I have.
All right. So we should get on top of that.
Yes.
You'll get with Diane.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other public input? Hearing none, I'll go to approval of minutes. We have the minutes of Monday, April 8th. Any editorializing?
I didn't see any changes.
I'm satisfied.
I'll move approval.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Our first appointment is at 9:10, so should we do signature file?
Sure.
First order of business in the signature file is a yield tax levy for $3,056.80. This is a timber tax yield to Camp William Lawrence, map 57-2-11.
I'll move approval. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And the next item of business is concerning our tax map computerization process. And if you agree with my suggestion, I don't know, have we all read this?
I have.
Yep.
Okay. Please make a motion as follows: to move to approve a revised agreement with CAI Technologies to include buildings on the tax maps during the conversion process for an additional fee of $750, thus depleting the warrant article totaling $16,660.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
If we do it in following years, it's $15 per building, right?
Right.
That's,
So it makes sense to get it done now.
that's for additional buildings.
Right.
Additional to what's there, and even, if you don't mind, I'll explain a little more. So whenever there was a subdivision or an official plan available, Sue Weeks did place buildings on the current maps. If there was not, what CAI will do during the conversion process is use digital imaging or whatever, and overlay and find ones that are missing. If you'd like to have those added after, because they're not currently on there, those would be $15 additionally too. But this will get at least what's on there now, on the new ones as well. Okay.
And then we'll have some idea of what the additional exposure is on new buildings, right?
Right.
Right, exactly, yep, and then you can approve them then or not, whatever you wanna do, or do it, like you said, a couple a year or whatever, but.
The second portion of the CAI Technologies agreement is a breakdown of the fees for services. Did we all read this?
Yes.
I did,
Okay. Move to approve an agreement with CAI Technologies for the annual map maintenance for 2019, totaling $2,385 for map GIS maintenance service plus 3 full-size black and white tax map prints to be paid by budget line 01-4150-21-312 plus $2,400 to be prorated through 12/31/19 once released for review for Access GIS annual service to be paid by budget line 01-4150-30390.
So I'll make that motion.
I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Did I forget it, huh?
Excuse me.
The next item for business is an application or a request from the trustees of the trust fund. I guess the trustee would like us to use this voucher system, so I'm gonna wait on this one until next week.
Yep.
I'll attach this voucher to it. All right, the next application is to put land in current use. 38, excuse me, 38 acres in forest land and 9.5 acres in wetland. It's an application for Linda and Edward Bean. And it's been approved by our assessor.
So I'll make that motion.
I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 So there's something else in there too. Under
Yeah,
this,
there's 3 altogether.
There's 3.
Oh, I thought there was only one, I'm sorry.
No, so there's, I'll give you the other 2 back.
Okay. Here we go.
Yep.
The next application for current use is for on Phineas Graves Road, Lawrence, Bernice, England. 19 acres of pine forest land, 25.2 acres of hardwood forest land, and 11.6 acres of wetland.
That's just the. I'll make a motion.
I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, I'm sorry.
Aye.
The next one, okay, it's third and last one, is Richard and Ronald Thompson. 20 acres of farmland, 53 acres of white pine land, some hardwood and other wood, 2 acres of wetland. So a total of 75 acres.
I will move approval of that.
I'll second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Now, we'll go on to the next thing. We have an application for elderly tax exemption. And that's been recommended to us by those who recommend. Tax map 55, block 3, lot 5. And it's a elderly exemption of $40,000.
And Karen, they meet the criteria, is that right? Okay. So I'll move approval.
I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. These-
And then we have an application for property tax exemptions for veterans. And this has also been approved or certified. So he will get the applicant will get the standard $500 veterans credit.
So I'll move approval.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 And yield tax levy of $82.27 on lot 6215, Duvall.
Right, I'll move approval.
I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Yield tax on lot 5533, Mary Hertel, $1,799.89.
I move approval.
I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All that goes together with that agreement right there. That one that
Good
you
morning.
just know, yeah. Some background and
And
things.
this as well.
Yeah, so what you have is a Stantec regular yearly agreement for $12,300.
Right.
But then there's a Sanborn Head recommendations, if you'd like Stantec to provide a quote to do the additional recommendations, they will do so, but we don't have costs for those at this time.
And the suggestion that we got from the Conservation Commission is that we not include it in this year's
That's what it's
monitoring.
not, yeah.
That we
That's how I understood it.
spend some time going back through and understanding not only what the recommendation is, but how Stantec intends to fulfill it, right? So
All right,
this
so
is
we have the
just, this
Stantec
is
agreement as our,
it's just the standard one we've been doing.
Required by law and whatnot, or by the state.
so this is the monitoring agreement for
Yeah.
water quality landfill gas monitoring at the Tuftonboro landfill. Groundwater management. Blah, 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 blah. So-
The only concern I have is, it's been a constant struggle with clay, although it's gotten better in the last couple of years, is the calendar year they do the work, we need to have the bill, so we can close out the
Well,
books.
and we've had some issues with them in the past, and I think we've discussed that for next year, we're gonna put this particular work out for bid. I know we've had at least one other company that's expressed interest in doing this monitoring. So this will give us an opportunity, and if we're gonna do it, we need to put the bid proposal out probably in the fall, so that it's ready to go
Yes,
Yeah.
before December. So,
review is healthy.
right,
And I think with regard to payment on time, and we can vote at some point in our lives that all bills have to be paid by January 31st or they're null and void. I mean, sometimes you have to just put it down to these people.
Yes.
If they don't put a bill together and it's gonna screw up our budget the following year,
In
that's not
fairness,
helpful,
Clay has worked hard. I mean, we were getting bills in April and May.
yeah. But,
That's the only, it has got better, to be fair.
yeah, we're not gonna keep this year's books open until May of next year. It just isn't gonna happen. All right, so we have the annual agreement.
so I would
It
move
only has
approval.
one signature. I'll second if you move.
Yeah.
All
All
in
right.
favor?
Aye.
Okay. Okay, so. Lasting right along, our first appointment is with the fire chief. Come on down.
Sorry for the delay.
Friday.
I was on vacation, so I went on call.
We allow vacations here?
Sometimes.
Paid vacations, I hope.
I wonder if he avoided some of the rain. Thank you.
So as you can read, there was 56 fire calls, 77 EMS calls, 19 service calls, 2 special details, for a total of 154. 12 gas furnace inspections, 1 oil burner, and 2 life safety for 15. On March 31st, the department held its annual ice rescue training at Pier 19. We had 14 members that participated. Along with those members, we invited Alton and Moultonborough and West Ossipee to participate with that with their hovercraft and 2 airboats. Moultonborough and Alton didn't participate. A member from Moultonborough did participate in it, but not their boat. West Ossipee had 5 personnel there that took part in the training, as well as Joe Skiffington. He's a paramedic with Huggins Hospital. Was trying to get a little bit further training on what takes place in ice rescue stuff that he wasn't familiar with. And all that were present received valuable training with that. The airboat responded to 11 Welch Island in Guilford on 4/7/2019 at 6:20 p.m. for stranded subjects in a disabled airboat. And that was at the request of Troop F, and that's not a mistake. That was Troop F that made that request. The owners of the airboat own a property on Little Bear Island and were on their way back to the Glendale docks in Guilford when it became disabled. We sent a crew of 4 to the Glendale docks. 1 stayed to be able to move the Suburban trailer and stuff in and out of the water as we came back, and 3 members responded to Welch Island. We were able to pick up the 2 stranded subjects. They left their airboat behind a jetty there until ice out. The airboat, they broke down in the Broads area and were able to get the boat back running. It was having some type of overheating issues as far as the thermostat stuck. And once they got to 11 Welch, it was all done. The ice conditions were, obviously the only thing that's going to traverse them was an airboat. They couldn't just walk out because everything was just really mushy.
Has there been ice out yet?
No.
Just in
It's getting there.
It's working its way there. Our boat, the guys have done a tremendous job on cleaning it up and getting it ready. Right now, they're putting the final hose and the pump back in it, and it'll be ready to go in today probably.
You're talking Eastern boat?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, the main boat as far as it goes. So we were back at the Glendale docks at 8:47 and then back in town and in service at 10 p.m. for that. Engine 2 and 2 members assisted the highway department during one of those last storms that we had. We had water that was overgoing the road on Ledge Hill Road due to a culvert that actually had frozen and
Is that my house?
blocked up. No, this was between like 27 and back towards the school.
By doors.
I had to clean my culvert up and
You wouldn't think that the water was very deep, but it was probably about 6 feet deep if a car drove off into too far.
Yeah.
So they had asked if we could come down and assist with that. We have a special nozzle that bores through the blockage. It's tough with ice, but we were after like 4 loads of water, we were able to bore through it, and it made it through and made things safe again. So. The rocks in the right-of-way for Brown Road are, or could be an issue. I did take some pictures. I always thought that we could use the beach, number 1 beach, but the snow is probably about 6 or 7 feet high there, so we wouldn't be able to do that. In that particular case, the front picture is a picture of where the rocks actually are. The other 2 are the 2 beaches. The second beach is just way too steep. You would have a heck of a ride in the airboat going down over, or in anything as far as that goes. So.
Along that line, what are there, 3 or 4 buildings that are actually only accessible by boat?
Yes. about 4.
In the winter time.
Oh,
Yeah. In the summertime.
Yeah, in the summertime, obviously by boat, besides walking in wintertime by
Right.
UTV or ATV, you know, if you can get one. So,
Yeah, we've been working on that issue.
that was something that you had requested me to look into, and I just didn't want you to think I'd forgotten. On Wednesday, April 17th, the members, myself, went to the Carroll County Coalition for Public House, MACE, actually one of the members on the MACE committee, and they were discussing the hepatitis A outbreak in New Hampshire. The paper that you have there obviously shows that there's currently 79 people at that point in time, only one of them being in Carroll County, that have had an outbreak of hepatitis A. Currently, I'm looking into how much it would cost and the end cost as far as our.
I'm sorry, I was reading how you get it.
Oh yeah. Unfortunately, the feces thing,
Yeah,
we deal with it daily.
really.
So as far as what I'm looking at is getting our members inoculated for this. It's probably about $120 for the shot. It's a 2-shot series for the members that actually want to have shots. You know, there are some people that may not believe in shots, and you may not force them to do that. But I think that if there is something out there that obviously will keep you from contracting something, then you probably should have the pre-shots for that. We obviously do not have, luckily we do not have a huge outbreak in our area. The coalition is looking at different areas in Carroll County that may have homeless, and the different ways that you see to get this. And they're setting up. They're going to be setting up free shots for those.
The numbers are only people who they can have contacted.
That's correct.
So
That have come to the
walk around
hospital.
with
It could be
hepatitis.
far wide
Right.
spread than that, as far as it goes. And you never know who you're going to come in contact with.
Right.
Because obviously people don't stay in their county. They don't stay in their towns as far as that goes. You could come in contact with them at any point in time. So I'm going to try to find, whether it's in my training side of budget or whatever, that I can come up with the money for the shots for that particular stuff. And we'll keep you updated as we go along and they give us further information from the coalition. The units responded to 35 Chase Point Road on 4/18 of 2019. Camp Belknap for electrocution. Units arrived on scene to find a male subject down that had been shocked when the boom of an excavator came in contact with the electrical wires. The power then went to a second excavator holding a metal trench box and a chain attached. The subject was holding onto the chain when he became shocked. Our ambulance transported that particular patient to Huggins, and that's the third transport for the year of 2019.
So that went along with the power upgrade that they're doing down there in the septic.
Yeah, it had to do with the septic issue, the power wires that run through the area that they're excavating work at. Do you have anything further for me?
Anything for the fire chief?
No?
No.
Here you go.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks,
Thank
Chief.
you.
Happy
You
spring.
have a good day.
Our next appointment is the police.
Good morning.
Morning, Andy.
Our returning champion.
Do you have one in your Oh, thank you.
Our car stops and arrests are up. Fences down. Penalties are down. As far as, we had no call-outs in March, which is kind of shocking. As far as, what is one of our quieter months typically?
Mud season.
Mud season, yeah. Incident training, we did incident command system, that was Officer Gillis. And drug identification investigations was Officer Gillis, and that's Patrol Officer LaFave. And we are working on, we've got training coming up on the 29th, which has to do with like emergency medical for law enforcement, casualty evacuation. So we're doing that at the fire station with the fire department. And Officer Gillis is down taking her test for the academy now,
And she's due to start the academy.
May 9th. She's
So we're
taking,
full complement from now until then.
yeah, but she has to work with Officer LaFave, so essentially we're one person short in a sense.
Yeah.
But yes.
She's taking the PT test?
Huh?
The PT test?
The PT test for entrance to the academy, she's doing that today.
That's a nice day.
Yeah.
Not too hot. Any other, you have your list?
Status of the radar signs and trailer.
I spoke to, well, one sign. I talked to Jim Bean the other day. I'm gonna go out and mark now that the snow and the roads are all clear. I'm gonna go mark a couple places for posts to go. The signs, I think pretty much all of them have been up, although I need to talk to him about one of them. We might need to make an adjustment to that. And as far as the radar trailer, I'm gonna order the part that I think it needs to fix it. It's like $50, and then I have to get a new battery too, because the batteries are fried, but I think that'll take care of it, rather than pay them to come out. But it's a relatively inexpensive part, and like I said before, if they come out, they're gonna say put a new battery in, we'll be back to where we were, I think. Because we've had them do this twice, and they're missing the part that needs to be fixed. So my plan is to get that done in the next couple of weeks.
And I know that you've been proactive, you've been working on some ordinances for snow plowing across roads.
I have not done anything with that recently, and we'll get it done for next year, that's for sure.
Okay.
I think hopefully we have a few weeks before we have to worry about it.
Well, I hope it doesn't snow too soon. And have we had an officer that's changed residences?
Yep,
Is he still within
yep,
response time?
yep.
That's great, thank you.
Nora, is the computer situation in hand? I mean, I was getting memos about your need for some
Yeah,
computer.
they're in our budget for this year, I haven't ordered them yet.
Okay, and you're gonna do that when, you think?
I'll probably do that. I gotta coordinate that with Tom. It'll probably be this summer when I do that.
So Tom could, I don't know if there's gonna be any other order going on, but there probably will be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll have to coordinate that with him as far as the office ones. The one for the cruiser, I'm waiting for another price to come. Somebody says they can do a little better price than what I already got, so I think it's a good idea to wait, especially if it's a significant difference of price. Supposedly. The other thing that was in the budget that still needs to be done is that would need to be ordered is the modems for the cruisers. In fact, somebody just called as I was leaving, so I said I would talk to them in a few minutes about their price for their modem. We have two companies that have products that should work, and that's probably the most significant things.
Anything else?
Lynn?
No.
Oh, good.
Thanks for coming in.
Okay, other than that, I did two bills I worked on last fall to get this set, go through the process. One was on bail, fixing the bail law that got kind of too wide last year, kind of bring it back to where it was supposed to be. That's, looks like that should be passing. That's, and the other one's to fix the phlebotomist for breath testing. And that's, that looks like that's definitely gonna pass. It's gone through both houses with the Senate and the House with, one's already passed by voice vote, the other one put it on the consent calendar, so it should be fine. And then, so that one should fix, so I'm kinda happy about that. And I will be away the next couple of days. My daughter wants to look at a college, so I'll be away. Sergeant Hancock will be around.
So hopefully the bail law, I haven't seen the repair that you made to it, but hopefully
I didn't get everything I wanted, so there's gonna be a commission to work on a few things, so.
Well, it needed to get less penal.
Right.
I mean, just because you don't have any money doesn't mean you have to go
And
to
that's,
jail.
well, the problem, what they did is that was the fix they made last year. Unfortunately, it was so broadly worded and poorly worded, there's conflicting phrases in there, that there's actually a case going to the Supreme Court on that, whether or not you can hold somebody who has, I mean, bail's supposed to be about failing to appear and dangerousness, not about whether or not you can afford it.
Right.
But you had people that were failing to appear, and they were still being kicked out on no bail because some judges interpreted that we can't do anything with cash on them, even though there's another section that says you can. The two courts have different interpretations of it, so hopefully through the changes that are being proposed, and we'll clarify, and the commission is still gonna address a few other things, it'll be fixed, but it's, it got to the point where, for example, we have a case, somebody stole a car here. This defendant's been arrested 6 times since December and still failed to appear. So, and has got more pending charges, and the last time was failing to appear for a warrant for, after she got arrested, it was a warrant for breach of bail. And she failed to appear for that. There's like no, and then there's nothing. That's the frustrating part. I get it. We don't want to put people that are poor in jail because they're poor. That's not the idea, but so you have somebody stealing cars,
Well,
using
there's a
drugs.
presumption of innocence.
There's a presumption of innocence, but they're creating more victims and more.
Supposedly. I mean,
I don't think it's supposedly when people's cars are disappearing. and quite frankly, in some cases, it could be bad for them, dangerous for them, because they're actively using drugs, they could overdose. So,
Or it could be bad for someone they run over.
yeah. So, anyway, it needs to be tweaked because clearly there's a number of people that are, there was someone who said they've been arrested like 4 times since January, and it doesn't matter, they're not gonna go to jail if they break the bail, and they know it. So they're kind of thumbing their nose at the whole system in some cases, so.
What are those bill numbers? Do you know?
One is SB 314. That's, well, I did SB 91. The Senate Majority Leader put an SB 314, and they adopted some of the stuff from 91 into it, and I don't remember the one on, that's the bail one, and I don't know the one on phlebotomist list off the top of my head. That one, like I said, that one's consent calendar, so I'm sure that's fine. All right.
great, thanks.
Thanks, Andy.
All right, our next appointment is with Road Agent Bean and Frank Carroll. All state training.
Morning.
Morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
How we doing?
Good. All right, so we're gonna put together our paving schedule today.
I hope we get it done today, that'd be perfect, so we can all get started and keep moving. So, what we came up with, we drove around and actually saw the conditions of the road. And the two that we have on the schedule, according to our paving plan, was a section of North Line and a section of Dane. Last year at this time, Dane was actually in better shape than North Line. Not the case this year. North Line really just took it rough, especially in that quarter-mile segment that was scheduled for this year.
The
So-
Ledge Hill Road end of it.
It's in the middle.
Well, it's in the middle, yeah. I was
Yeah.
gonna say it's on that sharp corner in the middle.
Yeah.
That's, if you've been through there lately, it's gotten bad. It's real bad. Anyhow, so we looked at that, and Frank kind of came up with some pricing for us. But the pricing is, when you sit on one road and you pave it, it's one number, and when you jump around to different areas, it's another number. And then the other thing that we have is we actually had Bruce from Allstate Paving look at Ledge Hill as far as doing the
Chip seal.
chip sealing. And he said that he didn't think that was actually a candidate. He said that candidate for chip sealing is basically something that's been paved within the last 3 or 4 years, not something that's been older than that.
Has it been longer than that?
Yep.
Sorry.
So, what's the solution?
So the solution is, well, I still think, if you want to get your best bang for the dollar, obviously you pick one road and you do it this year and you do the next road next year. But if you don't want to do that, then I think that we do what we can afford to do on both roads. And you have the pricing per foot, I thought, or something to that effect.
I do. When we rode around, we looked at some of this stuff and measuring the roads and trying to get the most bang for the buck for the town. If you start doing it in your quarter-mile sections, you're up towards $50 a foot. If you sit there and do what is like a day's worth of reclaim or like that, you get your cost down there, you're at currently around $38.55 a foot. If you do at least 3,000 feet or more on one road. You start that jumping around, that's one thing that the individual who put this survey together uses the state's PS&E averages, I would say, for pricing and stuff. You're comparing some of that with like your district work and stuff and bigger work, and it doesn't really carry forward when you start doing, the district work, they're doing miles of road at
Or
a time.
quarter-mile segments.
They're not doing these quarter-mile segments and jumping all over the place. It's all about mobilization and cost. And I explained to Bill and Jim the other day was that you do 3,000 feet or more on the road, you're gonna get it's a day's work for the reclaimer. It's close to a day's work for paving. So the good thing out of the study was though that it delegated your worst roads for you. And allows you to concentrate and look at them, and then, like Jim said, year to year, one road might get worse than the other, like Dane Road did all this year. So, I'm always looking when I'm looking to help the town, trying to figure out where they're headed and what they want to do, and try and get the most money, most product on the ground, the best they can for the dollars they're spending. I hope you get that point of that quarter-mile thing, like if you did the quarter-mile thing on Dame Road, you'd be forever trying to get it done. It's 9,880 feet long. Whereas if we picked a section in the middle of that, the worst section, if you get the dirt work part of it, the other part of this is you need to get the dirt work part done before we plan to do ours.
And I looked at that, and because the drainage is just, it funnels towards the road, I think that's a perfect candidate to have some catch basins, which I feel the same way on North Line. That needs to be catch basin work as well.
And you're also thinking about raising the elevation of the road a little bit, right? And that section of Dane where it's essentially kind of down in the ditch.
Correct. It's going to come up some just with the, reclaim.
Mhm.
It does come up probably 4 to 6 inches, I'm guessing, but we could certainly add more gravel to it where it needs it. I think that's probably going to be the case. I don't know what it looks like until we dig it. I got to dig out the rocks, and it's got plenty of them, and we got to figure out what's in there, and we obviously got to get the drainage. I think the drainage is the big part that we need to get working so that we don't have as many problems in the future.
So I'm looking at the current if we're gonna take this map as some sort of information, is North Line is one piece, the Dame is, the corner of Dame is another. Then you've got County Road and Harvest Lane, and the end of Federal Corner Road. Those are the red sections, if you will. And your suggestion is we do more of North Line than just that little piece of it, right?
I was thinking Dame actually, since it's in more shape.
Okay, what's your proposal? To do all of Dame Road or a big portion of Dame Road?
Well, I think we gotta make the decision. Do we want the best bang for the buck, or do we wanna take two of these red lists off for this year? Best bang for the, dollar is to be on one road,
Okay.
and I
Well,
would,
they're not just red, they're yellow and red. So I mean, to some extent, the more of Dame you do, some of that yellow is gonna turn red, if you will.
I think it's gonna turn red quicker than we originally anticipated.
Right.
We laid out like 3,600 to 4,000 feet we're talking about doing on Dame.
In the middle,
In
the
the-
middle
out in the
section
middle.
of
Right.
Dame,
And-
right?
So if you get 9,880 feet, call it 10,000 feet, you figure, and we're gonna go in there and do 3,600 feet, it's about a third of it.
Right.
That would leave you a third on each end, still leaves you for good pricing for the future, if
Right.
you're going to do the same thing, so.
Right.
And possibly in 3 years, it could be all binded on Dame Road, maybe surfaced, 3 to 4. You don't want to get the surface coat either, because if you don't put the surface coat on, you're not keeping your integrity of the structural strength,
Right.
so.
Right. So we've got,
So we talked about doing that section of Dame Road and maybe half of the North Line, right?
We talked about that, but then if you remember correctly, we already have Sawyer Road on the
Right.
schedule,
Right.
and we have Brown Road with its top coat on the schedule.
okay, so what's the brown with top?
And I want to say that we ended up with,
51,000 for Brown Road top coat, is that right?
Yeah, right around there.
Yep.
And the 3,800 feet of Dame, what did you come up with for a figure on that?
3,600 feet to reclaim it
And
and
basically,
base it back in around 94.9.
Okay, so 95,000.
If we do quarter mile segments, it's 66,000 for every quarter mile segment if you're doing just a quarter mile on each road.
So we're $146,000 spent. What, after the Brown Road top coat, what was, were you gonna
so
do some?
see, the other piece that we're working toward is the Sawyer Road piece this year.
And how much
Paving
is
the
that?
Sawyer Road.
Sawyer Road with shoulders. And this actually shows that, base coat and top coat apply at the same time as 56,000. If we just do the base coat this year, it's 48,000.
For that one, it's just a small piece, it makes sense to do it all the same year.
So that brings us up to $200,000, $202,000. So we've got $80,000 left?
And we're gonna do the
No.
drainage work for,
Right.
So we're not doing anything on Federal Corner Road?
Melvin Wharf.
Federal Corner Road wasn't on the schedule.
Really?
Yeah, it's
It's the end.
it's red up there, but it was not,
The end, but
it was not in this year's schedule.
and nothing on Northland Road.
It would be nice to, I just don't know that we have the money to do 4 roads in 1 year.
Yeah, because of that top coat.
Yeah.
Well, what, where are we here, third? To do the Northline Road effectively, what, did you come up with some, Frank? On Northline?
No, fine, we figured, well, that's way, we figured doing, the whole thing in one shot, but,
And that was, is that 144 you had?
yeah.
144 for the base coat.
Reclaiming the base only was 144.
So doing half of it is not reasonable?
You can do that, your price is probably gonna go up a little bit.
So it's only, because it's only a mile long. right?
Yeah, yeah.
Or- So 144, right?
What's for the whole thing?
Mm-hmm.
64. I don't know that we have that much left in that. And that's, we're 64,000 over budget at that point. So let's look at another one. You wanna look at Harvest Lane?
No, honestly, I don't think that makes a lot of sense. I want to stick with Dame Road or North Line because those are the two worst roads that we have. I really want to, I propose that we stick with Dame Road, do as much as we have money for, and then next year we go after North Line.
Can I ask a few questions? How many feet of top coat for Brown Road? And the cost?
3450.
51,000 is what I've got for a cost.
$34.50.
Is that how many feet? Yeah,
How
you
many
asked
feet? And what is the price of that tar? Asphalt.
Comes to 45,760.
45,760. How much to do the shoulders?
5,500. So total 51,260.
Yeah.
Okay, that's, I say we do that this year. Sawyer Road, there's enough money in the warrant article to prep the road, right?
Yes.
There's no culverts, it's just add gravel and smooth it out, and you gotta make the cuts so that you will let the pavement, right?
Yep, and obviously drainage.
Well, drainage. Okay, so that prep's taken care of. To put the first coat of tarred asphalt down, is it 22 feet wide or 23 feet wide out there?
We have it at 22 feet because I think that's what it was measured on both ends of the existing pavement.
And even though it's on a corner with an intersection, you're gonna stay at 22? Does it make sense to widen it to 23?
What do you think, Frank?
That would be you folks' call, really. It's 22 is wider than most of the roads.
Yeah.
Okay, so if
You know, most roads are 20 to 22 feet in town.
and what is that, 1,100 feet?
It's 1,200 feet.
1,200 feet?
Yeah.
And how much is that tar?
Well, the base and top,
The base?
base only,
Yes.
your price will probably go up from where it is. Right now, I figure that doing them both together, try and keep the price down. Because
I asked this at the last meeting, and didn't we make a decision that
to do that base coat,
we were only gonna do the base only, or did I misunderstand?
We did talk about that.
We talked about it, and now I think what Frank has said is, for the small amount, for the short distance there, the mobilization to get in, do the work, we put the base down. If we come back another year, mobilize to come in and do the top coat for that short section, we pay the long dollar.
Okay, I support doing both this year, and what would that price be?
56,000.
56,400. Boy,
Okay, and what about doing the 50-foot intersection on Phineas Graves Road?
what is that off from that?
Is that
It's the
included?
sharp
in that?
corner
No.
that it's referring to. We didn't come up with that number. And I do agree that it probably does make some sense to do that at least in 50 feet so that when you come up to a stop, when you take off, you're not spinning on the dirt trying to get out in front if the car comes. So you have, I think, yeah, so you do have a price for both together with some savings if we did Sawyer Road and Brown Road together. Do you think there might be enough savings to do that little 50-foot intersection?
And the prep work would be done out of the warrant article, correct?
Yes.
And I don't know that. I don't know where your savings come from, Frank. I mean, Sawyer Road and Brown Road are not anywhere near each other.
No, but it's,
They're not super far
Or is
apart.
it just the equipment?
you, putting the two together, you'd have a day's work.
Yeah.
Versus coming back and coming back and coming back.
Right.
That's
Because
what it costs.
you dropped it down, you actually have a line,
Yeah,
where you say you do these two roads together.
the 76 versus the 88, you know, you save $12 a ton on 1,000 ton, $12,000.
Do you have an estimate on the 50-foot?
That's only gonna be about 30 ton probably.
So,
You're probably looking at another $2,500, $3,000.
okay.
that's a-
$2,500 to $3,000
Okay. And
without grading, so you
And
probably.
how much to do the shoulders?
On Sawyer Road was 4,500.
But
Probably
that's-
looking at grading and paving 3,500 to that 50 feet.
Okay. And if we do the top coat on Brown Road and do Sawyer Road, originally there was about a $12,000 savings. You say that,
Almost 13.
okay. To me, those are the first two things that need to be done. Then I'm gonna, if I can, go to Dane Road and North Line Road and whatever. Dane Road is being used more and more and more by heavy trucks as our state highways go to hell. And you are absolutely correct. That road has been destroyed in the last 2 years. As far as I'm concerned, although it's a little broken up by what I call Kay Dow's house on
Jordan?
no, North Line Road, I want as much of Dane Road done as possible. There's, when you start doing thousands of feet, you're not moving the vehicles. And to do a quarter mile here and a half mile there, I'm not in favor of that this year.
Okay.
So, to do, if we take the rest of the money out of the warrant article, you have no idea what it's gonna take for road prep, do you?
Not really at this point.
I mean, how many culverts do you have?
There's a few, but I really think we gotta do under drainage there. I think that's a good candidate for some catch basins and do some under drainage work so that it's, you know,
Dry it out.
not just replacing a couple culverts. I think we gotta run culverts down both sides, not, you know, in the ground with under drainage, going to catch basins. I think if we're gonna do it, we gotta do it right.
The water's what's killing your roads.
Yes.
It's every road.
It's a bathtub.
Yeah, you gotta get the water away from the roadbed. And, you know, your town is no different than a lot of towns, or all the towns we're in. They were never really built for the loads they're getting today. They were never boxed out like state highways, 4 feet or more, and proper material placed. I mean, all the towns did the same thing. They did what they could do at the time, thought it would work. And now you've gone from single axle trucks to tri-axle trucks and bigger, and the load's heavier on your roads.
Well, there's also more cars.
Sure.
I live on Shirley Way where there's 54 houses and every house has 3 cars.
Yeah.
And that's, 400 vehicles
Yeah.
every day.
Yeah.
And we're not talking about school buses and fire trucks and snow plows and oil truck deliveries.
Yeah.
3 times 54? Isn't 400? Just saying.
No, what happens is
Oh, coming and going.
they come and go.
I see.
Yeah.
All right, so we've decided on Dame Road, Brown Road, Sawyer Road.
Yep.
Okay, I'm good with that. How about you?
Yeah, I think that's, and we'll end up being able to do more than 3,600 feet of Dame Road then.
Well, we're hoping, it all depends what we come out with for the cost of,
Brown.
yeah, road prep.
Yep.
If it goes cheaper, then we'll get more done. If it costs a little more, we'll get a little less done, but we're gonna be in that neighborhood, is what we're hoping.
Yep.
Correct me if I'm wrong. My understanding from the course I took is when you start with catch basins, it's every 50 feet, right?
It does, it depends on the water load, but
Okay? And the largest culvert possible, right? 18-inch culvert?
always, yeah, just because the further you go, the more drag. it
It's also
becomes.
my understanding that you start at the low point.
Yep,
It's like cleaning a ditch. You start at the low point and clean out, otherwise the water is working against you. I'd be willing to make contact with Boyd Smith. Do you know who I'm talking about? Over by Newfound Lake. He's a guy that works for a consortium. He gets think it's called 118 grants, because all of their roads around Newfound Lake are like Ledge Hill Road. The water pours down and it's a bathtub. I'd be willing to set up a meeting and ask him if he'd come over and tour with you if you want to. He seems to, I've gone to 2 of his classes that he's put on.
Yeah, sounds like he knows what he's talking about, so, sure.
The other thing is, I'm a proponent for PGA on culverts and like this, and it's free other than trucking. So I'd like to see us work on that if we could.
You know, one of the issues that we have on Dane Road are utility poles that are right hard up to the pavement. And it makes sense to try and get those moved.
We can ask, but I think
Yes.
they do charge. That's a
Yes, they
whole
do.
separate fee, and they don't want to spend a nickel on their own. They want us to pay for it. It's
Well,
not cheap.
Yes.
That's why we have a big wing on our
Yeah.
trucks, I think.
We're
Yeah.
whittling them back slowly.
Yeah, but I guess in my mind where it starts is if you can identify poles that ought to move,
Okay.
we can start pursuing the process with them. In trying to improve that drainage there, those poles right hard up against the road are gonna be right in the way of getting that road bed dried out, right? Unless you put the drainage on the other
I
side.
am. I would have to.
Yeah,
There's no option.
so I think we ought to at least
We'll look into it
consider,
and see what they say.
you know, X number of poles need to be moved to be optimal, and we'll take a look at what the cost of getting it done is. And now the other piece is the timing of getting it done. I know they're not the most responsive, but at the very least, if they don't get moved, it's because we're making a conscious decision that we'll live with it because we don't want to undergo the expense of the move. You know what I'm saying?
Yep, it's fine, what you say.
Yep.
Yeah, it's not so much the expense, it's the timing. I mean, we need to get it all done before the tank shows up for this paving.
On this issue, you and I talked about timing. Remember our most recent conversation? 2 years in advance, the road needs to have the trees and stumps removed. 1 year in advance, it would be nice to have the culverts put in.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, you could be working on next year's at the same
Yes.
time.
Well,
Needs to be
and
done.
Dame's an interesting dilemma in that it doesn't drain as well as Ledgeville. I don't fully agree with Lloyd's portrayal of Ledge Hill as a bathtub, because there's plenty of drainage on Ledge Hill. It's just a matter of getting the water to go that way. On Dame Road, the bottom of it, you're sitting right at the swamp level. I mean, to get the water to move northwest, which is where it's gotta go, we may end up putting more fill in there just to raise that up.
Yeah, I think under drainage is going to be key in that situation.
Yeah.
The reason for catch basins is it removes the sediment and takes the energy out of the water. Go look at Lisden Road, which is,
But the water has to go someplace. And
Yeah.
so if the water table is at the same height as the pavement, it doesn't matter what kind of drainage you got, everything's full. So we have to create an environment where that water
Right.
gets moved out from underneath the
And
pavement.
and there are some times when you don't want to take the energy out of the water. You want to get it somewhere else, and if you take all the energy out of it, it's going to sit there. So I think, yeah, it's going to take a little bit of thought on how to get there. I mean, I look at down at Bill Williams's house, this end of Dame Road. I mean, there's so little elevation drop there that whole field floods on occasion. So we, at that culvert, that got built up a lot, and it's still, the water is preciously close to that. So not a lot of elevation gain or loss, so. All right. Is this horse dead?
All right, we got a plan, right?
Yep.
Okay, good. Good.
So that's the first step, and then Frank can get it on the schedule and get it done early in the season.
That would be key.
Yeah, and then we can save up, maybe we'll win the lottery and do more in the end of the season.
Does the town play the lottery? I wasn't aware about that.
That's figure of speech.
Yeah.
Excuse me, just to, if you don't mind to confirm, was it Dame, Brown, and Sawyer?
Dan Brown and Sawyer. Sounds like a law firm.
And whatever can be done with what money's there, is that right? Just so I have it right in the minutes.
Well, yeah, I mean, we're expecting around 3,800 feet of dam to be done. We're expecting the top coat of Brown to be done. We're expecting Sawyer Road to be done. I don't have the footage there, but it's done with 2 coats of pavement.
Sawyer Road.
1,200 feet.
So I had 3,600 feet. There's a price on 3,600 feet.
On Dane Road, yeah.
36.
36 is, I wrote 38.
Dame is 3,600.
Yeah. And how long is the Sawyer piece?
1,200.
1,200 feet of Sawyer Road with two coats of paving.
And Brown Road was
And Brown Road's
450.
is a top coat. And then the junction of Sawyer and Denise Graves.
Is there a target date to have these projects done, Frank?
I beg your pardon,
Is
what?
there a target date to have the pavement done?
No, it's up to you folks. I mean, the season's getting busy already.
Right.
It's kind of a funny season this year because a lot of people didn't get their work done last fall because the season closed on the shore because of snow.
Right.
So a lot of projects didn't
My
get
target date would
completed.
be June.
What?
My target date would be June.
A lot of people are still working on the
That
water.
means you're gonna be up on Dane Road probably next week, starting to,
The sooner the better.
yeah.
Are the roads all open now?
Yep, no. All the paved roads are open as of today.
Okay.
The dirt roads we're gonna keep posted for another week, and this is with Ossipee and Wolfboro. We're all on the same page.
Do you have a priority list for these? Which is first, which is second, which is third in these, or?
I would say that we get Sawyer prepped, so that Sawyer Road and Brown Road can be done. And if you can squeeze in sooner, then I say we get it done sooner.
And then you're still working on Dam, which is gonna take more work.
Yeah, that's a pretty good sized drainage project, so.
Great.
I'd say Sawyer, just for your reference, Sawyer and Brown probably be late June, early July. That would work, Jim. Just because workload we have already. We've got committed dates on some of our projects already. We got a state job that's coming.
Yeah.
We got other town work that has to be done by June 30th.
Right.
So I'd say late June, early
We
July.
talked about this earlier, actually. We're shooting for late June. And obviously, with everybody's schedule, we don't know how things are gonna work out with rain or whatever.
Right.
So it'd be early July at the worst case scenario, but because you had mentioned the roads, the school buses and stuff like that, that late June is probably our target.
And you make sure you have always coordinated with Ossipee, just let them know when the construction's done, because there's a lot of Ossipee people who use it. And I'm also thinking.
And they'll know when the work's going on because a
They'll
lot
know.
of people use it, yeah.
They'll know the day after it gets there.
Yeah, Sawyer Road should be a 2-day hit.
Mhm.
Come in grade one day and do the next.
Yeah.
That would be, how I would tackle it. I wouldn't commit to do one, then be a week
Right.
later. You gotta do it right behind each other. So it'll be a 2-day hit.
Yep.
Okay.
We'll have it loop in our grade over and get it close as we can. I know they have a little bit more state-of-the-art equipment they find great for us.
Great.
And the shoulders you do great, good work on, they do on the road. They're still there on Bergen Road, and the people with mailboxes, the Jeeps don't dig it up, so
Yeah.
your
Good.
compacting
Yep.
equipment is better than anything we have, so.
Thank you.
So we're done with Mr. Carroll.
Yes.
All right.
I think we are.
Happy
you.
spring, my
Yep.
friend.
Yeah,
All right.
thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks for coming back again today.
Yeah, not a problem, and down the road, we wanna, maybe later this fall, we can get a plan for the next couple of
Yes.
years.
Yes.
Yeah.
Travel safe, my
Yeah.
friend.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, Frank.
Thank you.
Yeah, that would be good, because I think we wanna probably
Yeah,
crank the
be
budget.
proactive in what you're doing, that's good for the town, it's good for everybody, and you have a better plan, so that's awesome.
You'll find something.
Thanks for
Having a plan is always a good idea.
Yeah, thank you, take care.
All right, Mr.
Have a
Bean,
good day.
what else do you have to report?
Well, since last month, our last meeting. We've been filling potholes on both paved roads and dirt roads. We've been filling low road edges, which always happen, same this time of year. Opening up ends of culverts for drainage. We even had help from the fire department with some of the frozen culverts that were just frozen.
He mentioned he has a boring nozzle
It took a lot of water though. I
Yeah.
think they had to fill it like
4 times. he said.
4 times to be able to get it, but
But
it
thank
works.
you for working together, it's appreciated.
Well, we appreciate them. I mean, fire department was a big help. We're lucky to have
Well,
this.
at accidents, you'll always send a truck out to sand it, so thank you.
We were actually even out plowing April 10th of this month, so we did that. And after that, we broke the trucks, plows, and sanders down, washed them, put them away for the season. We've been cutting dead trees along the roadsides. We've been grading dirt roads out and York raking them as they dry out. We've installed some of the new signs that we got in for the Class 6 roads, the Federal Corners, Willand, and Northbound.
I saw the one at Welland, and I received compliments on it.
Oh, good.
You know, the yellow sign there?
Good. And then we,
On the 171 side?
Yes.
trying to prevent people from driving through with the GPS.
So we had a fellow in the last time who lives on the other end of the land,
Yep,
just before the camp. With
Yep.
concerns about that section of road, or just before it goes up the hill. Needing some fill or something.
It was, just bad timing, I guess, for part of it, but, the day he came in was the day that we were actually scheduled, and we were up there anyways, probably while he was sitting here, we were up there trying to grade it and smooth it out.
Right.
He lives in an area of that road that you can't do a lot with the drainage because it's ledge. You can't even go down 6 inches. It's sitting on ledge. It's all ledge. That whole crop on that road, you can't put a culvert in across the street, which would be ideal to put it on the lower end. It's because right now the drainage runs from the rock up on top there.
Right.
On one side, it runs all the way down the whole side because it's all ledge from there down. So without having to bring in, thousands of
Still
truckloads of gravel.
Well, they still make dynamite.
They do, but we talked about that a little bit. And the problem is you'd have to go get surveys of all the foundations around and stuff like that, so we're not buying somebody a brand new foundation. It'd be very costly to do something like that.
I have some thoughts on Federal Corner Road. And I'll take a step back. We need access to all our camps, and look at what you did over a period of years at King and Valley, so it was two-way traffic from Frank Stockman's house up there. Wasn't quite all ledge. What I would recommend is that on Federal Corner Road, we put it out to bid and have an engineer. What is it gonna do to make it a paved road?
You mean Willand Road or Federal Corner?
No, Federal Corner Road.
Federal Corner, I think, ends up at the camp.
Yeah, just beyond the camp, then it becomes Willand.
Okay.
I know that it's kind of confusing, but that's where, in my mind, it ends
See, I thought it ended the other.
Yes, it's Class 6 road
from there after.
where the woods are. Or some, I don't know where the survey mark is, but within spitting distance.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not, I think you can blast that without having a survey of your foundation. I mean,
Well, I do
you
the
hire
plasters on a regular basis, and they won't do it without a survey, because they're not gonna buy the people in the
Really?
foundation. I deal with them probably 5 times a year. They won't do it without a survey, because they gotta protect themselves. Somebody says they got a crack in their foundation, now he has to replace it.
That's why I would say have an engineer
They will
scope
hire
it
it as
out
well.
for us.
Yeah, I mean, we can't just throw our hands in the air, we gotta do something. And I don't see putting 1,000 yards of fill in there as the answer. I mean, what's that gonna cost?
A lot.
Yeah, so I think I'm with Lloyd that we need to have.
And how I would fund it is, we have $29,000 left in the block grant. I don't know if the block grant would allow us to pay for engineering, but I'd investigate that.
Does your friend from Newfound Lake have the ability to look at that while he's here?
I'll ask him.
Or maybe a recommendation too.
Yeah.
I mean, there must be somebody out there who needs to reinvent the wheel.
Right.
Okay.
In New Hampshire, there's somebody who's faced this issue long before we have.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, now that road was in worse shape before we started. We widened it out at the top and
You certainly have maximized it as much as
But it's,
possible.
it's getting more and more traffic on it too. I mean, you've got the whole logging thing that happened up at
Mhm.
William Lawrence's past year, but then you still got people
What I
in camps beyond William Lawrence.
I have the statistics and I'm refining them. I went to each camp and said, how many cars and people do you have a year? From campers, parents, grandmothers, people who work, fire trucks, etc. And my God, it gets into the 1,000. And we need a town road that's appropriate. It just needs to be updated. I mean, we remember as natives, remember when Dane Road was dirt and you couldn't get through there in mud season, so the town has
Stuck
changed.
there.
And I just toss these things out as thoughts.
Well, I like the idea because technically, when you have a road on a hill, a dirt road on a hill, generally you have washing problems, and that one does happen. And that's why you see sections of roads on all around this area, the hills are paved.
Right.
And I like,
Yep, Beach Pond Road, perfect example.
yep,
Yep.
Well, Summersfield was forever like that.
Yep.
Hills were paved, everything else was
yeah.
dirt.
So I like the idea. I mean, we know, I think we all know, that in the long run, maintaining a paved road is much cheaper
Yes.
Right,
than maintaining a dirt road, so.
Well, yeah.
right.
It's a
But it'd be
proven
nice
fact.
if it was,
We also
if it
know-
was a well-built,
We also know if we just go in and pave over what we have there, we're gonna have a problem.
yeah, that's not gonna work.
Yeah, I'm guessing, but, you know, at the same time,
That's a Band-Aid approach.
it is, you know, the ledge is a good thing when it comes to, you know, putting your, that's a good base, but it's gonna be a problem with the drainage on the side. Unless you do some kind of paving,
I
a
did-
swale.
I didn't mean to cut you off, but thank you.
Okay.
So we installed some of the signs on Lake Street, Melbourne Wharf, 19 Mile Bay Beach, and also Union Wharf.
Well worded at the beach. You listed no bomb houses and no trailers.
That was the chief actually that ordered that one. I just took the orders.
You know where the wood fence is
Yep.
at the beach? And there's a space and here's the road. There's no parking sign here and no here. I think there needs to be one put there.
I think there was one missing.
Yep.
Yep.
Other than that, nice job.
Thanks. And then we put out lead signs on some of the dirt roads. And, you know, I mentioned we pulled the weight limit signs down. We're working on that today on the paved roads. The dirt roads will be next week. And I expect that we'll be placing the radar posts for the radar signs in this week, once the chief gives us the coordinations where he wants them. And I have 3 phone calls out for right now on stop lines, pricing for stop lines. But I do want to just double check, because I think that I came up with, I want to say it was 5 stop lines, because we said all of 171.
Intersect Oil and 7-1.
So would that be Canaan,
Yes,
and that would be Sergeant's Crossing,
yes. Tuftonboro Corner
Tuftonboro Corner, both
Two.
sides? Yeah.
and Sodom.
And Sodom, okay, so that's 5. All right, I just want to clarify that before.
Is there money in the budget for that?
There isn't, but we're gonna find out how much it is at least, but let's just see where we're at and see if we can get it done. I'm hoping to get it done, and then next year we budget for it. and
Well, we're gonna
do more.
strike the Brown Road, for instance.
That is not on the,
It's not been striped in the past.
It's never been striped.
And we only
So-
budgeted to stripe the roads we currently have.
Okay.
Correct, which I called on that, and we are on the schedule this year for May 14th, which is earlier than usual, because we're always paving one of the roads that needs to be striped, and we have to wait for the paving to be done. And you're in the mix of everybody, that schedule is really tight for that one. So we're hoping to hit it earlier, so that it'll be done
And,
by June.
and is he gonna hopefully say for the amount of money we have in the budget, That's the quote.
We got a price, correct. They gave us a price for this year. I'm expecting that they're gonna honor it. I think they will.
And do the same with mowing?
The mowing, yeah, I mean, that's,
You got your quote for
yeah,
it
we
this
get the
year.
code for it, and I think we gotta do it. It's just been too long.
Yeah, yeah.
He gave us a good price, we're gonna do that. And we started, the last thing is we've started the street sweeping already. You know, that's another situation where everybody wants to be first. We were lucky to get the timing that we did get it. We have to book this a year in advance, you know, we're already booked for next year.
And is he gonna stay within budget, what he quoted you?
We don't actually have a quote on that, I think that's our road. And it has to be, because, you know, you can't like predict how much sand he's gonna be moving.
And where does that sand go?
Right now, it's in a pile, we have a pile
Whereabouts?
behind the town garage.
Because isn't that like the material out of catch basins? It has,
The catch basin, I believe, is different.
yeah, okay. Because catch basin legally can go to the transfer station.
But we can actually even reuse road sand too, that's been done before.
If it gets sifted, right?
Correct. Yep, and that's all I have.
All right, have you met with the Parks and Rec director?
No?
Okay, so I'll make sure he gives you a call, so you guys can coordinate. There are some activities that you have with the Parks and Rec.
Putting out the ropes.
Ropes.
Someone, so,
Yeah. So, that you know who you're talking to.
okay.
He's a nice guy.
We're operating on a time constraint today because one of us has to leave fairly soon. I've gone over the minutes of the past meetings, and there's a number of issues that I would like to have discussed. Your catch basin information, the catch basin at Teckenbrook Corner, winter operations SOP. Could I make a suggestion?
I had that list for you.
Yeah. Could I make a suggestion, and I'll just toss this out, that at your convenience, we meet with you a half hour at a time. For example, I'll toss this out on Friday when we're signing checks, and we take one of these issues that we want to discuss and one of these issues that you want to discuss, and within 30 minutes, your history. Some of these things have been backing up, you know, for a long time. For example, winter operation SOP. Your time is valuable, you can't be two places at once. So I'll toss it out, is there a way we can accommodate you, you can accommodate us? What are your thoughts, folks?
Well, I'll offer the opinion with respect to the winter operations SOP that the time to be dealing with that is in the fall, not in April or May, as we get ready for next winter, so that we can have it in place once before we get the winter weather.
I guess I'm in agreement with that, with the caveat that memories get a little foggy the longer out we push
Yeah.
things. And this is a significant winter, but it wasn't as significant as some other winters that I've been here. So I guess I need a little more information about the number of snow days or the plowing.
I have that.
Yeah, so, and that's not something I think we have time to do today, but I think just so that we have the information when we do go over it, let's say in August or September.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I had asked sort of rhetorically the other day if we ever audited the road agent. And I think we need to look at time and materials, use of manpower, that whole thing, to try to help Jim out on the management end of things. Because it seemed as though we added $75,000 to the winter budget and it got spent. Our expectation was that was gonna help us next fall a little bit. Doesn't appear to be doing that, so.
Well, we're a little better shape this year, I think. We still have a fair amount of winter sand.
Yeah.
So we're definitely in better shape than we were last year at this time.
Yeah, I guess all the elements that go into the winter budget and the allocation of funds for that need to be addressed. It's gonna be a longer conversation, I think, than half an hour. But I think concentrating on what we gotta do going forward is probably a good focus.
Right.
We've got paving to do, we got road construction. We gotta get the mowing done this year, we got it done last year.
Or for a few years now.
One of the things I wanted to discuss, and I'll just toss it out there, was I think this is the year that we need to make sure that we do not go over on any of the lines. And if for some reason there's an emergency where there's, you have 100 trees that need to be picked up, you do like the other departments and come to us and say, hey guys, what do you want to do? I'm going to go over on my budget on trees. I have 50 dead ones left to do. So and then it's up to us to go find the money someplace. So
Maybe an easier way to approach the issue is to say, yeah, you have line items for everything. And if we have a plan for every line item, what we're gonna do, like what culverts are you gonna do, what trees are you gonna remove, what striping are you gonna do? Then if the plan alters, we're just talking about that part of it.
Correct.
We can maybe find some capital if an emergency happens, but we need to have a plan on that, everyone. I think the question of what culverts are being done was asked. I think it needs to be fleshed out a little more. Not today,
right.
but we need to flesh it out, so maybe we need to meet with Jim a little more often.
You know, here again, that was my thought, is that we have these little smaller, briefer meetings, and we just do culverts. And within 20 minutes, I'm sure that it can be
I mean,
resolved.
if you have issues that you think you need to, that we need to address this spring, let's say culverts.
Right.
And you have that fellow from Newfound Lake that
Yep.
you want to talk to, then yeah, let's bring together a little meeting on a Friday morning and have that happen. But I think for the larger budget items like winter maintenance, I think that's gonna take a,
There's something very,
A little more time.
there's something very positive here, Jim, and you're to be congratulated. As an elected road agent, your past record and your current record is you are saving the town a hell of a lot of money. Think if you were a public works director and had an assistant, and you each had a pickup truck and whatnot, we'd be into $1 million in a hurry. So,
that could be our future.
yes, it
You
could,
never know.
it could be our
We haven't had a
future.
lot of people running for road agent.
Yes.
And at some point in time, if Jim decides he wants to go to Florida for the rest of his life, then we need to be
Just
made
the winter
aware
part of
early.
it, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's an enormous part of running the town, so it's,
I hope you know that it's a sincere effort on all of our parts, mine in particular, to continue to do the job, so.
I appreciate that.
And you know, we've had conversations and I haven't been afraid to say thank you.
Yep, thank you guys.
Thank you.
so just plan on, you're gonna get, we'll give you plenty of notice, but a Friday morning
That's fine.
from now, from here, now and then, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Anything else for our footage?
I'm good.
Excellent. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Jim.
No, thank you guys. Appreciate
Happy
it.
spring.
Yes. End of month season. Selectmen's update. Anybody got anything? I do.
Go
Go ahead.
Go.
I know that, I thought I had reported on Parks and Rec the last time, but I didn't see it in the minutes. So,
That's
just,
because Parks and Rec met since our last meeting.
right, their minutes.
Yeah.
Right. A couple of things, obviously, we hired a Parks and Rec director, there's an Easter egg hunt that happened, I don't know how many eggs got found. Parks and Rec is putting $5,000 in the Tufboro Scholarship Fund out of their earnings from the concert series. Old Home Days meeting, there is a meeting for Old Home Days on May 7th. And another Parks and Rec meeting on May 9th. So I'd like to encourage any of the people out in YouTube land that want to volunteer for Parks and Rec or Old Home or whatever to get involved. Those days are May 7th and May 9th here at talking about town offices. Moving on, I've gotten a couple of letters actually, and any number of phone calls with regard to the swap shop. I've gotten, I think probably just as many complimentary phone calls as complaining phone calls. So I think that on the phone front, the population's evenly split with those who say, fine, yeah, we're fine without it, and those who say, we gotta have it back because it's the only social gathering spot in the town of Tuftonboro, which I find a little bit hyperbolic, but. So I'm just gonna throw this out here. I know Clay's not interested in having a swap shop in its current formulation. And I'm not at all clear about what the town's real population feels about it. So I'm almost thinking we should put together a warrant article next year.
I agree.
You know, put a budget on it,
Yes.
make it an item. And if the town wants it, by God, they're gonna have it.
That's right.
If it doesn't have votes enough, then it doesn't have votes enough. I mean, it's obvious to me that if you try to include it into the transfer station budget with no cost, you're defeating the purposes that Clay's been working on for a few years, of trying to make the transfer station pay for most of its expenses, or chunks of its expenses. I mean, if we're gonna go in that direction, the more sensible way to do it, from my perspective, is that you don't charge any fees, you get everybody a dump sticker when they pay their taxes, and we just increase the transfer station budget by $250,000,
And if the voters want to go it that way, then
yeah. I
they
mean,
can
it's-
vote that in.
It just, I don't wanna fight over this anymore, so, just a thought. End of my pontification. Any other selectments?
Well, I've heard from a number of people about the swap shop as well. I've had some good conversations. There are a number of issues with the swap shop as it was in the past. One of the things that certainly is apparent to me is that the space that was available at the swap shop was too small to allow stuff to be there for a little bit of time. So one thought is we have a space up there that we could reallocate to the swap shop, possibly, which is the Quonset hut, which currently is just full of picnic tables. Might be a better use for a swap shop or for the space, and allow it to be stuff to be there a little bit longer so people can pick through it and get what they want. I continue to believe that it's important to have somebody manning the swap shop to make sure that it doesn't just become a dumping ground. There's a lot of stuff that ends up at the swap shop that is good stuff that just doesn't have a home and is going to end up getting dumped eventually. But to prevent stuff that clearly is just ought to be dumped today from going in there, that has to be monitored. So whether that monitoring is by volunteers, which works in some communities, or by paid employees, there are different approaches to that, but it's I believe there's a workable solution that is between what's there now, which is nothing, and what we used to have, which was sort of a free-for-all.
There is a middle ground.
So just to follow on that. And interestingly enough, I've had several people say, well, we got people that will volunteer. One of the problems is we've we have talked in the past about having people who have an interest in the swap shop coming to talk to us, to bring us different perspectives, maybe an effort toward organizing a volunteer group to deal with it. But nothing has ever gone to that extent. People haven't come in or stepped up and said, well, put me on the group that will make this thing work. We do have what I would call a dedicated population in town of people who are regulars at the swap shop, some very, very regular, and continue to want to use it. That's my ideal group in my mind to be involved in coming up with a solution.
There's some talk about petition, so I think if somebody's sending a petition to the selectmen, that will certainly give us a list of names of people who should volunteer.
Absolutely. I would say pretty much everybody that has called me or I've talked to about the issue, I've encouraged them to come in to one of our meetings and sit down having a conversation with somebody around the table is a much more productive way of getting from where we are to down the road than just a phone call or
It's the only way anything's gonna get done. I mean, jabbering online doesn't accomplish anything.
Right.
I mean, this is where things happen.
Yep. Yep.
Anything from you, Mr. Wood?
You and I went to a meeting in Molten Borough.
Yes.
I thought it was very productive. What were your thoughts?
It was not as productive as some that I've been to. There was LRPC had some good information on the what they're doing in accumulating information on solid waste management and hauling, so it's part of the value that I see in these groups is just an opportunity to exchange ideas with folks from other communities. This is how we do it, this is how we do it. Maybe we're doing it a better way, maybe there's a straightforward way to deal with something in another community, and that's a primary benefit. There were a smaller number of participants than sometimes, and I think Walter had been sort of the coordinator in the past, and seems like he has less interest in that than he has had. So somebody else is going to step up. When you put the notice out 3 days in advance that this is when we're having the meeting, it's
Tough to get it done.
It's hard to get a big group turnout.
One of the advantages of that is the selectmen from Sandwich were there and gave us the name of a guy who was kind of an expert on old landfills and checking and whatnot. So I'm going to pass that name on to Clyde. So we're dealing with that all the time. So thank you. I have nothing else.
All right, moving on to correspondence then. I guess that's the last of it. As we heard from the chief of police, there's some work being done on two issues. One is plowing across town roads and the snow plowing across town roads. And the other is unlawful maintenance of seasonal roads, which I think both issues have been brought up, both issues need to be addressed. The maintenance of seasonal roads ends on December 10th. I think that wasn't too clear last time we spoke about it.
I can speak on that. The road agent identified a do-gooder that was going down every day Lang Pond Road and plowing it. And the road agent said that he spoke to him and asked him not to do it. First of all, it's destroying the road during intermittent weather. The other thing is the snowmobiles use it, and the guy stopped. Also, I believe it was the police department who spoke to the guy who was doing the same thing last year on County Road. And again, nicely spoke to him and explained that thank you for your volunteering, but, you know.
I think that the issue was that the road, especially Lang Pond Road, wasn't being plowed until December 10th. I mean, not only do we have to maintain it, but we do have to plow it until December 10th. That's part of the deal on cottage roads. Okay, Clay misspoke, did we, about the boiler work that was gonna be done at the transfer station?
Yes.
And that price is approximately $10,500 to $11,000 for just boiler replacement, I would hope, for that kind of money.
Right.
Yeah.
And I chatted with Jack about that the other day. He's talked to the boiler guy. They're looking at some different alternatives.
Yeah.
So certainly if we're doing a replacement, it may,
Yeah, it doesn't.
it's a good opportunity to look at putting a propane boiler in as opposed to fuel oil.
Well, and we don't need to keep the building at 68 degrees. It's a transfer station.
But it's also radiant heat.
Yeah, radiant heat doesn't affect, I mean, what they're doing is they're calculating the cubic feet of the building and the insulation value, and then how much BTUs does it take to heat that building to 68 degrees. I mean, it's not a home. I mean, I heat a slab at my little shop, which is maybe a quarter the size, maybe an eighth the size of that building, that I use for workshop, the yellow barn next to my daughter's house, with a hot water heater. You know,
Right.
domestic hot water heater. It's like a $300 item. So, I mean, $11,000 for a boiler, I think is a little over the top, but we'll see what happens. I'm sure
I know Jack is pursuing some alternatives there.
Yeah.
And, my understanding is that what we have now works, just not optimally. I mean, it's.
Yeah, it's not efficient.
And it is having some maintenance issues, but this is probably an item to put in the 2020 budget,
Yeah,
not.
and it's over 20 years old.
I kind of like a global approach, like I did with computers. There's a furnace is needed at the transfer at the Public Works garage. All it has is auxiliary heat, and that's something that Jim, has on the CIP. The other thing is that eventually the furnace at the Melvin Station needs to be replaced. So I kind of like the global approach if we could do it next year.
Okay, moving on, the Tufton Transfer Station also received some wind gust damage on the metal roofing. Nearest the scrap metal pile, top edge of the sheet rolled up, so he's contacted the roof repair person on that. The House budget passed without a reintroduction of the swept issue, which would have taken the money that we paid to the state and left it in Concord. I was remiss, I actually did talk to, this is concerning the auction for property that we're gonna have in the spring. I did talk to a couple of different people who I thought might be interested in that 20 acres that the town owns, just to try to figure out a value. And I hadn't gotten all the information back, but I'll guarantee that by next Monday I'll have all of that together. I don't think there's any, we haven't posted that as an auction yet, we just need to let St. Jean know.
Yeah, they're gonna be going out with their marketing information, I think, early May. Is that right, Karen?
Yes.
So that's why they're interested. If we're gonna put that one on the auction too, we wanna get it included, so
Okay.
that'd be good.
And we've been invited, the Board of Selectmen or any of our members, to attend a meeting in Wolfboro on May 8th at 7 PM in the Great Hall about school funding, education funding forum with John Tobin, Andrew Walensky. Who was the lead attorney in the Claremont case.
I have a conflict.
I don't know what day is May 8th.
It's Wednesday. What time is that?
It's 7 PM, the town hall. Free light refreshments served. Obviously big pencils. Be a great time. Newspaper will be there.
Yep.
We've got another, I'll remind us next week of that as well. The Tuftonburg Conservation Commission is going to hold a public hearing on Thursday, May 2nd at 6:30 at the town offices, right here, 240 Middle Road. Purpose of this hearing is to provide an opportunity for the public to comment on use of the Tuftonburg Conservation Fund to acquire tax map lots 31-1-1 and 31-1-2 for the purpose of conservation.
What time?
It's 6:30 PM. Our road agent let us know some of the weight limits have been taken off, so the paved roads are no longer posted, but the dirt roads in town are still posted. And we have an updated version of the 2000 originally published 2013 transfer station usage fee sheet. Which the pricing hasn't changed, other than the sticker pricing hasn't changed in 2013. So did we want to, we don't have time today, but do we want to discuss the fees, or should we wait until Clay comes in and discuss them at that point? This is, for instance, fees for tires, electronics,
Wait till Clay's.
brush, refrigerators, fluorescent light tubes.
My opinion is it's important to review it and ensure that what we're collecting covers the cost of disposal.
And it's
But-
consistent with neighboring towns.
But it's, my guess is that Clay's much closer to what those
Yes.
costs are than I am. So
Yeah, he's on top of it. But we should probably put that on.
And was there a right to know request for,
Yeah, I'm why, they just
stickers?
come and get a sheet. You don't need to file a right to know request for something that's a published list of charges. I mean, that's kind of ridiculous. All he needed to do was come in, or just to ask. It doesn't need to be in the form of a right to know. Everybody
that was over
can
the
have
permit?
that. It seems like overplaying that particular issue. Method. All right, that's all I have. Anybody else have anything? Any more public comment from you publicans?
I did go to Tuftonboro Central School and caught the end of the Conservation Commission educational event. And they had the whole school involved, and Tuftonboro groups the children K through 6 into families, and then Laurel Potson and Kathleen Murray had bird boxes for eastern bluebirds and robins that were made from people in town. I understand some Boy Scouts and maybe some other people. And they talked about habitat. They had a map, and then where does your bird fit, and where's the habitat? What is the habitat at the place at Spiderweb or the school or a fire station? So it interacts with a lot of community action in the town. And those kids will see those at 90 Mile Beach and places
Right.
like that.
I know that Steve Wingate, the Conservation Commission chair, was excited about getting Mrs. Ponson on because she had a lot of interest in getting an educational component out there into the community.
And they plan, they have the science curriculum and they plan to embellish when they can. And both of them have degrees in environmental science and education. And Kathleen has a master's degree in.
Yeah. And I look at I had actually last week looked at the tax map. The amount of acreage in Duffner that's in conservation is pretty impressive.
Mm-hmm.
And there's more going on all the time. And getting the kids out into that conservation land, I mean, it's everything from, mountains to swamps to, estuaries and all
Yeah,
that.
it seemed just very well done from the short time I was there.
You add in the current use, and we have a lot of protected land.
Right. I mean, the difference being the current use land is a little more restrictive as far as public use is concerned. All right, I'll make a motion and we adjourn.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
You're out of here 10 minutes early.
Yes.